The People's Daily newspaper is an organ of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. Well, the paper has stirred up quite a lot of controversy lately over its newest column named Dishonest Americans. Well, the Chinese original title is Immoral and Dishonest Americans. According to the paper, the purpose of the new column series is to provide a more objective picture of what the U.S. and Americans are really like. Now, the editor of the piece wrote that most Chinese people think Americans are honest, reliable, and righteous. But once you live in the country for a while, you may discover that the descriptions above are misleading. And then the editor states that the Dishonest American series does not refer to all Americans, but will unveil some incidents and Americans that they think represent a more accurate picture of the country and its people. Now, so far, 3 articles were published between March and May, and the series remained largely unnoticed until earlier this week when a huge debate erupted online after several prominent Chinese media outlets reported on the column. Now, most of the stories are lengthy and emotionally charged first-person accounts of being robbed or overcharged or being screwed over by the system. Now, there are stories of a New York locksmith that charged $800 for changing 2 locks, and a payroll company that stole its clients' money, to a bad experience on an American airline. Not exactly shocking material. Now, reaction to the column falls mostly into 2 camps: those who believe the paper is doing a service to remove the illusion of a perfect America, and those who believe the paper is doing a disservice and embarrassing itself. So now let's take a look at some Weibo comments.
American media are always talking about China in a negative light, so what's wrong with us giving them a little flack? I think when you leave China, you will find out how great China is. Oh yeah, don't you hate it when people of a certain nation are always trying to tell its own populace to love the country, but they're always the ones who are running away to the other countries? The People's Daily is not a trustworthy publication. They quietly changed the column from Immoral Dishonest Americans to You Don't Understand Americans. Spineless. The People's Daily is a joke to the world. Can this paper get any more satirical? Most of the accounts of dishonest Americans don't seem that bad. I've seen much worse from our own people.
The People's Daily was established in 1946 and ever since its founding has been under the direct control of the party's top leadership. Now, during the Counter-Revolution, the People's Daily was one of the few sources of information from which either foreigners or Chinese could figure out what the Chinese government was doing. Now, during that turbulent period of time, an editorial in the People's Daily would be considered an authoritative statement from the great leader himself, and the contents would be studied nationwide. The arrangement of the paper was also of great importance. Sometimes the news articles are not often read for its content, since more information could be gathered from the article's placement. Now, having a large number of articles devoted to a particular political figure or an idea is often taken as a sign that the mentioned official is gaining favor with the great leader and possibly due for a promotion. But that was during the paper's golden era. Since the mid-1990s, the People's Daily has faced a decline in government subsidies as well as increased competition from international news sources and Chinese tabloids. And most readers today will much prefer the more liberal papers such as the Southern Metropolis Daily and other similar papers. So as you can see, a lot of Weibo users are wondering if the anti-American sentiments expressed in the column is a reflection of the attitudes of China's new leadership. Well, let's take a look at a few more comments.
No wonder the American consulate beside my workplace is always packed with Chinese people. They all want to go to America to teach those Americans some proper manners. I really want to go on a rant. Why would those bastards want to send their wives, their children, their mistresses, their illegitimate children to America if America was so bad? I'm sure whoever is in charge of the newspaper, whoever is the brains behind this column, is a very unselfish public servant to the people with no ulterior motives. Who is this column written for? Those who have the means to leave the country and move to America, or those who can't go to America but wish to import a little American liberty?
And there you have it. It seems the article has touched a nerve with a lot of Chinese internet users, and they have a pretty solid argument that the vast majority of regular Chinese citizens are not able to emigrate to the U.S. However, a sizable portion of the elite are able to do just that, which makes it a little hypocritical. So who is the column written for? And now a quick update to the column. Because of the overwhelming negative response to the title of the column, the newspaper has quietly changed the title from Immoral Dishonest Americans to Americans That You Do Not Understand, or some variation of that. It seems the people's voices have been heard.